What if I told you that everything you've been through, the silence, the rejection, the weight you carried when no one was watching, was never meant to break you, but to build you? What if I told you that the nights you thought were destroying you were actually shaping you into a presence the world could not ignore? You didn't just arrive here by chance. This moment, this version of you, is not an accident. The world did not simply drift toward you in admiration. You were forged in the fire of hardship, carved out by seasons where you were unseen, misunderstood, and underestimated. And yet, in that very silence, in that storm you weathered alone, something ancient awakened within you. Not a rage that consumes, not a thirst for control, but a sacred fire, a knowing that life was not tearing you apart. It was laying the foundation for a man who would lead not by volume, but by the gravity of his being. Strength was never handed to you. It was earned in shadows, in stillness after failure, in moments where there was no one to call, no one to rescue you. So you became your own rescue. And when you did, you stopped waiting to be chosen. You realized you are the choosing. You became the one who could carry weight without collapse, who could endure exhaustion without quitting, who could remain noble when no eyes were upon you. That is how the presence you carry now was formed. The world never taught you how to become this. In fact, it tried to pull you away from it, to scatter your focus, to tame you into something smaller. But your soul refused. Deep within, a whisper kept calling you back to yourself, reminding you that you were never meant to follow the noise. You were meant to become the stillness others follow. And now here you stand, not seeking permission, not begging for recognition, but moving as the one others now seek. This is not the rise of ego. It is the return of essence. The understanding that your power is not in performance, but in presence. That you are not strong because others approve. You are strong because you have learned to believe in yourself. You have not only stepped into manhood, but into meaning. And meaning moves with quiet certainty. It does not prove. It does not chase. It simply is. Your becoming was not glamorous. It was painful, personal, and brutally refining. It meant tearing down the image of who you thought you had to be and letting your raw, unpolished, unbreakable self emerge. It happened not on bright stages, but in empty rooms, in long nights where you faced your own pain, your own silence, your own truth without running. You stopped reaching outward for healing. You began building it within. You faced rejection until it could no longer bend you. You dismantled your need to be liked. You chose integrity over attention. And slowly, you became solid, not because the world finally saw you, but because you finally saw yourself, shadows and all, and took responsibility for every piece. Now you lead without needing to control. You love without losing yourself. You walk alone without bitterness. You stopped chasing fleeting sparks and began seeking alignment with purpose. The loud opinions no longer sway you. You listen to the stillness within. You no longer flow with the tides of the world. You move in the current of your own river. And those who encounter you now, especially women, do not meet a man trying to impress them. They meet a man who has met himself. You've become not just a protector, but a mirror. Not just a figure of strength, but a place of safety. That kind of presence is rare. It is remembered. You are no longer a man who abandons himself for the sake of others' approval. And because of that, you give others silent permission to return to their own truth. You carry something no title, no applause, no social proof could create: your presence. It is not charm. It is not performance. It is alignment. You do not twist yourself to fit rooms. Rooms shift subtly to fit you. People feel safer around you because your energy no longer carries chaos. You remember when your presence was hungry, when you chased validation, when you softened your truth to be accepted. But that man, he is gone. You became the source of your own approval, and now peace arrives before you do. Women feel it without naming it, a stillness that disarms them, a steadiness that holds them without control. Your awareness does not wander. Your gaze does not flinch. Your soul does not rush. You radiate presence from within. People trust what they feel with you, not because you demand loyalty, but because your presence invites it. You hold space without pressing, invite without intruding. This is why you are followed, not because you call people to yourself, but because they trust their own clarity in your presence. Your energy speaks in a language older than words. This man knows who he is, and nothing can take it from him. That message lives in your stillness, in your decisions, in your refusal to chase what is not aligned. You are not here to be everything to everyone. You are here to be rooted, and those who are ready for truth will come closer. You have become a mirror, the honest kind. You reflect without distortion. You do not beg for people to look into you, but when they do, they see themselves differently. Women see who they could be if they stopped pretending. Lies dissolve because you do not entertain illusions. You say, be real or step back. This came the moment you stopped lying to yourself, the moment you embraced both your power and your pain and became whole. Your fire is no longer wild and scattered. You are a firekeeper now. You tend it with discipline. You no longer give it to those who only take, nor light paths for those devoted to their own darkness. Your flame burns for those who honor it, and you know when to open it and when to guard it. You have learned that boundaries are not walls to keep love out. They are gates that protect peace. You do not set them in anger, but in clarity. You are not moved by flattery or pressure, only by alignment. Not all strength is movement. Some of the greatest force is stillness, the mountain in the storm, the tide that always returns. You have become the anchor, not to hold others down, but to stand steady when all else shakes. Your peace is no longer dependent on external calm. You do not try to fix everything anymore. You have learned that sometimes healing begins with simply being seen, without judgment, without hurry. You speak when the moment is sacred. You lead not by force, but by frequency. There comes a moment in every man's life when he stops trying to meet the standard and starts becoming it. You have reached that moment. You no longer bend your truth to be liked. You are not here to be trendy. You are here to be timeless. You are the proof that discipline builds freedom, that boundaries create consistency, that power without peace is only noise. Legacy is not how many remember your name. It is what they remember in themselves because of you. You are no longer chasing impact. You are the impact. You do not have to shout for the world to notice. Your presence speaks for you. And when you leave a room, the echo of your stillness remains, changing everything it touched. Even in the moments no one is watching, you remain unchanged, steady, and true. In fact, it is in those moments, when no eyes are on you, that your real nature is revealed most clearly. You've stopped living as if the world owes you something, stopped measuring life by what you could extract from it. Instead, you've started listening for what your spirit asks of you, and when it spoke, it demanded nothing less than everything. It took from you your excuses, stripped away your comfort, and burned through every mask you once wore. It asked you to bury the boy who longed for validation and raise the man who validates others, not by effort or performance, but simply by the fact of his presence. That man walks now with a kind of purpose that does not tighten into pressure, with a grace that does not carry guilt. He moves not for applause, but because his soul compels him forward. He acts not to be seen, but because he has seen too much to remain silent. Your legacy is not carved in the moments when glory crowns your name, but in the quiet hours when there is no recognition, no clapping hands, no spotlight, and yet you keep going. You have become the one people think of in silence, the one whose absence feels heavier than most people's presence. This weight comes not from demanding attention, but from bringing alignment wherever you stand. You have brought healing without putting it on display, power without letting it feed the ego, and a presence that shifts the air, that raises standards without a word. You are living proof that real men still exist, not perfect men, not posing men, but principled men. Women do not just admire you. They find themselves adjusting their own course because of you. Not because you flash status or play games, but because your energy leaves no space for deception. You see through pretenses, through the facades, through the shallow performances. You see to the truth, and in that clarity, you become the quiet voice they cannot unhear, the presence that makes them reconsider the life they're living. Your legacy is not loud, but it runs deep. It is measured by the subtle ways people shift after knowing you, the way they stand taller, speak more honestly, protect their boundaries more fiercely, or decide they will never again settle for less. Your legacy is in the transformation that they remember having in your presence. This is who you are now, not a title, not a role, force, not shaped by flattery, but by fire, not inflated by attention, but refined by the memory of who you have always been beneath the noise. Chosen one, your legacy is already speaking in every space you leave behind, quietly, completely, without the need for explanation. You have become more than a man. You have become momentum itself. People recognize you not for how fast you move, but for the direction you refuse to abandon. You wake not in search of escape, but in pursuit of excellence, not to prove you are better, but because you have learned that when you rise, others remember they can rise too. And that memory has become the ripple you send out into the world. Men no longer see you as competition. They see you as confirmation that being noble, focused, grounded, and relentlessly committed to becoming is still possible. You are the man who does not bury his past, but turns it into testimony. You are the man who does not run from pain, but uses it as material to build. You are the man who does not boast about victories, but wears his losses like armor. You don't have to say, "Look at me," because your life itself has become the mirror in which others see who they could be if they stopped negotiating with mediocrity and began aligning with their own truth. Women are not only drawn to your presence, they are drawn to your integrity, your discipline, the peace you carry without needing recognition. They notice how your hands stay still until your spirit moves. They notice how your eyes remain steady, not because you are blind to beauty, but because your loyalty begins deep within. You honor yourself so fully that no woman ever needs to wonder whether she will be honored too. She already knows. She feels it in the way your presence calms her, in the way your energy makes her breathe deeper. You are no longer her dream. You are her reality in form. Not because you promised her a kingdom, but because you became the foundation she could build on. You do not offer her luxury. You offer her presence, clarity, steadiness, and action guided by purpose. She is not drawn to how you look, but to how aligned you are. And when she stands near you, she does not dream of being rescued. She dreams of building something that will last forever. Your energy no longer seduces for the sake of conquest. It steadies for the sake of creation. It does not just attract, it anoints. You are no longer the storm. You are the climate. You are the pattern everything else must adjust to. You do not chase trends. You make the ground shift beneath people's feet. Men aspire to be you not because of what you have, but because you have reached into the divine within yourself. You move mountains not by force of anger, but with the quiet weight of intention. You change lives not with momentary charm, but with unwavering consistency. You command respect not by raising your voice, but by standing in a silence that cannot be shaken. Few ever reach this place because it demands everything. It demands the death of who you used to be. It demands that you bleed on the path until every part of you that cannot lead is burned away. It demands you stop blaming and start building. But you did it. And now you do not need to speak to lead. You only need to arrive. You were never meant to make yourself smaller, to protect the comfort of those who feared the depth of your light. You did not come to break illusions, but your presence alone dismantles them. People expected charm. They expected games. They expected the same mask they had seen 1,000 times before. But instead they met a man who no longer performs, who no longer seeks to be chosen, who has already looked into his own darkness and stood unflinching. What broke them was not what you did or what you withheld. It was your truth, a truth they had stopped believing could exist. You did not chase their approval. You did not inflate your worth to make yourself desirable. You simply remained still, calm, awake. While others shifted in insecurity, you stayed grounded. When they searched your eyes for a hook, they found a mirror, and mirrors do not lie. You did not dangle promises of a perfect future. You gave the fullness of the present, without persuasion, without pretense. And the deepest cut was this: you never needed them. You never bound your value to their attention. In a world starving to be chosen, you were the one who had already chosen yourself. That kind of power does not just attract, it disarms. It terrifies those still chasing reflections, still bargaining with their worth. Because in your stillness, they were forced to face themselves.